Good afternoon. Hello. Thanks for coming over and stopping by our channel. Thank you so much for doing that. Today is July the 3rd, 2026, a special day leading up to tomorrow, July the 4th, 2026. It's a special day for the United States. It's a special day for everybody in the country because it's the day of our independence. Tomorrow will be the day of our independence. Today is the day before. And if you know anything about history, if you've read anything about history or seen any videos about history, July the 3rd was a really pivotal day for the founders of our country as they recessed their meeting in Philadelphia to think about the Declaration of Independence and what they really wanted to do, because they knew that putting their signature on the Declaration of Independence meant that they were committing treason, and that they were subject to being arrested and hanged and drawn and quartered, because that was the punishment in that day. And what they were doing really put everything on the line. It put their entire heritage on the line. It put everything that they had earned and gained over their lifetimes. And so they had pledged their livelihoods and everything that they had saved up for this independence that they were going to be declaring. So they wanted to make sure it was all right and it was correct, and they were going to put their names on it. So today, July the 3rd, I want to talk with you a little bit about that in the context of HOAs, because as you know, this channel is called Living in the HOA. And so I feel that this message is appropriate. I feel that this message is timely, and that we should be talking about this. So the first thing I want to talk with you about is the idea of the HOA, the spirit of the HOA, and how HOAs are run. Everybody that you talk with about an HOA in some way has a negative attitude about HOAs. They think that HOAs are taking away your freedoms, taking away your independence. But in reality, HOAs are manifestations. They are the expression of your freedoms. And that's what America has been about for 250 years. So the HOA is not an organization or an entity that is taking away your freedoms. It is actually manifesting your freedoms. So in order to talk about that a little bit, I want to talk about the spirit of America and what is being done and how we express the spirit that is within us about living in the USA when we live in the HOA. Now, there was a man in 1831 that came to the United States from France. His name was Alexis de Tocqueville, and he was commissioned to come and look at the prison system and how it worked in the United States, because France had had a very rough time in their progress to independence. It was very bloody, and the population was executing other members of the same population. And so they wanted to know how they could possibly make it work better. And so Alexis de Tocqueville was sent to the United States to look at the prison system, the penal system in the United States, and how it functioned and how it helped regulate people. And so he came, he was a nobleman and sort of a mid-level bureaucrat in France. And he was commissioned to come look at that penal system and see what made it tick, what made it work, and how could the population be kept under control, and how could crime be controlled. So when he came to the United States, he went on this journey to look at that. But what Alexis de Tocqueville actually saw and what got his attention was not crime and the problems of a population that divided them and they had to control. But what he saw was what made America tick, what made it work. And he saw that basically it was their communities. Their communities where everybody had the same mission. Everybody had a goal that they wanted to achieve for themselves. They were in it for their themselves and their own self purposes and their own wealth. Because when they lived in a community, everything they had was invested in that community, their farms or their houses. And so they wanted to make sure that committee, not the committee, but the overall HOA worked for them. So it was pure self-interest that everybody had to pull together in these communities. So de Tocqueville saw that what made America work was the independence of these small communities, and that people in the community were in it for themselves, and they knew that if they were in it for themselves, they were in it for everybody else. So they had shared interests, common interests that they were pursuing. And so he wrote later in his book, Democracy in America, in 1835, that it was the commitment of the people of the individual communities and the way they pulled together to solve problems and to debate issues and to work things out, not to separate into individuals and just work against each other, but it was how they pulled together to do the community, the common interest work of that community. So what he found was that it was this common interest that they had and their own self-interest that united them. It was not the crime that was dividing them, but it was the common interest, their own self-good that pulled them together. And he saw that the unanimity that came from common interest pulled people together, and it was much stronger. It was much more basic than the minor things that divided people, the minor issues that could be debated and decided on, and then everybody would say, okay, we're going to work together for this interest, and it's going to be good for all of us. And so that's what he saw in America. It was not what divided America, it was what united America. So it's what we have in common. So what did he see that was in common in the communities in the United States? It was that they had self-governance. They had the most local self-governance they could possibly get, which was right in that community. The community governed itself, and they pulled together resources that they needed to address problems that they encountered along the way. And so they didn't look to some disinterested bureaucrats far away. I mean, even if they were city bureaucrats or if they were county bureaucrats, state bureaucrats, which were colonies at that time, and but that, of course, they had become states. But and they certainly didn't look to a federal government that was the farthest one away to solve their problems and help them. But they relied on themselves. They discussed these issues and came together with local resources, local governance, and local solutions to problems. So that's what Alexis de Tocqueville saw. He was a young man. I mean, he was in his lower 30s when he saw this. Brilliant, by the way. And so he saw what actually pulled America together, and that's what he wanted to take to France. He didn't want to take back information about how they could deal with what was dividing them and build more prisons and arrest more people and cut more people's heads off. But he wanted to bring the message of what serves America, what builds America, what holds America together. And so in his book, democracy in America, that is the message that he took back to France. What will unite you? What will make it work? Because in America, it had been 50 years since the bloody revolution that the colonies had against Britain. And they had been fighting and sometimes winning, sometimes losing. And individual people stood up. The militia members stood up and fought the fight, fought the good fight. And they pledged themselves. They left their families and they went to do this. And that is what Alexis de Tocqueville saw. And he saw that that was a worthy way of running a country. It was a successful way of running a country, and had worked in the United States, and he thought that it would work in France as well. And so that was the message he took back. Now, how does that relate to HOAs? Well, when the HOA, like I said before, we can't allow ourselves to buy into the idea that HOAs are taking our freedoms away. They are actually manifestations of our freedoms because we have local governance. We have elected representatives in our communities. And everyone then realizes that we have something in common to fight for. We have something in common to solve problems for. And so in the HOA, it is the most local of governance. It is hyper-local governance. And it is not looking to bureaucrats far away. As a matter of fact, it rejects the faraway bureaucrats in exchange and in preference for the local people's involvement in solving problems, in running the community, and in bringing together the resources that we need. And in HOAs, of course, that's the way they're set up. Now, the first thing that happens with an HOA is the declaration. Just like we had a Declaration of Independence, the declaration is what establishes that community. And this is a statement that says, this is what we're doing. This is our community. This is the way we're going to run our community. And we are the owners of this community. We have some things in common, we have some things apart and individually, but it's all something that we are pulling for. And so in the HOA, that is exactly a manifestation of the most local governance, the self-governance, and using your own resources, of course, which are accumulated through HOA fees. And so when you are asked to pay your monthly fee in an HOA, remember that you are contributing to your own good. You're contributing to the maintenance of your own community and making sure that that values are kept up, that the beauty of your neighborhood is kept up. And so that is your contribution to it. But there's something else too, is we don't want to just go home and close the garage door and disappear into our house. We want to participate. We want to be members of the community, and we have to be members of the community. So this is what we want to do as an HOA. The last message I want to leave you with is this. When we look on the internet and on YouTube today, all we see is off-grid living. Everything is off-grid and separated from other people, and in that way living in peace. But this is not how America began, and this is not how America has been successful over the years. We live together, and in urban areas where most of us live now, they are growing, and we are investing our income into our properties. And so that is where we live today. Very, very few people, such a tiny minority of people, are ever able to or willing to buy a piece of property far away from everybody else and live alone off grid. Well, this channel is not about that. This channel is how we live together on the grid, how we live together and pull together in our own neighborhoods. So we're going to be talking about how our neighborhoods are constructed, how these neighborhoods are designed to work, how we participate in them, how we maintain the infrastructure in these communities. So all of these things are going to be discussed in this channel. So I look forward to working with you and giving you information about that and discussing it with you. I want you to put comments below on these videos and ask questions about perhaps how your HOA is working or what can you do in a given circumstance. I'll be glad to look at those things and talk with you about them. I'm an environmental engineer. I'm a certified arborist, a tree risk assessor, but I have also been a real estate broker over the years and also served on my own HOA board and discussed issues that are brought before the board. So we need to be able to do that. And I'd like to help you become more involved in your HOA and become some of that backbone in your HOA that you will appreciate and you will be able to display over the years. So I thank you for coming by and listening to this message on July the 3rd, 2026. 250 years after it all began successfully, and look what it has done. It has done for our country, how it has been successful, and we want it to continue to be successful. And remember that what we have in common unites us and makes us stronger than the things that divide us. Even though there may be fences and walls between your properties, the things that unite you and make your community better are bigger than that. They are taller than that. They are more living than that. They are the trees of our community. And this is the green infrastructure that we will be talking about, and how we maintain it, how we make sure it's going to outlive us, because the things that we're doing today are for the future. Either our children or whoever is going to be buying the property from us. And there's a quote that I remember that somebody said that the man who plants a tree that he will never sit under is the best man for the job. And so we want you as members of your HOAs, wherever your HOA is, whether it's in the north, south, east, or west in the United States, that you can be a part of that. You can become involved in self-governance to promote your own self-interest and be a worthy member of that HOA. So thank you for coming by. I appreciate you listening to this message today, and we will see you in the next video where we will be describing more issues involving HOAs and the green infrastructure in your communities that give you a good lifestyle. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.